get away with? Breaking all the rules, and what were the rules back then? What were the rules in 1600?
No thinking.
Don't question antiquity.
Yeah.
Do not question antiquity. So Galileo allowed others to question antiquity because he did it, and he did it successfully.
Maybe the antiquities know that man is but a beast to some extent, and that the whole population won't think. They're always still on that level. And that time span it's going to take to get all those animals, maybe antiquity was the only thing that we had. Maybe that was the best thing.
All right, so you're bringing us right back to where I was going to take us a minute ago.
About that war.
No.
Because I was going to say war, we got to use that for the population.
No, we can do population. China already showed us how to do population control.
It's too slow. Viruses are too slow. War, as someone said, war is the sacrifice we have to pay for capitalism, money, and population control.
We need a new model then.
That we do.
Capitalism is the servant of man. He is not. Capitalism was never meant to be a harness that man would ride man.
True.
It was to liberate
that.
us from the ignorance of you go do your farm work, I will do my farm work, they'll do their farm work, and we will act as 1,000 separate beasts. The economic model to me is the ascent of money represents you, me, and 1,000 other people opening a company and having a footprint in 250 cities with 4 of us in each city, and we bring something to the market, and we have this collaboration, and we have an easy exchange. We're not have to bring 2 eggs or 2 chickens like they had to do in the 1700s or the 1600s.
You said it perfect when you said it's not a system for man to ride man. Yeah, I like that. A harness. But a rum. Like you got to domesticate those farm animals. Mm-hmm. You got to ride that horse. Mm-hmm. You got to tame that bull. The whole astrological nature that's inside a man, those are beasts inside these bodies. We still got to ride those damn beasts.
Okay.
Whether it be with gun or a whip or a sword.
Or, as Jefferson would have said, and Jefferson was like you, he read more books than you and I probably will read in our lifetime.
Jefferson's my favorite.
He collected so many books in his lifetime that despite losing 2 sets of his books to fire, he still had a massive library to give to the Library of Congress.
Monticello.
No, he was trying to offset some debt. He was somebody that I don't think you can, him and Ben Franklin, John Quincy Adams and James Madison, and probably John Jay as our first Supreme Court Chief Justice. These guys were really something.
Yeah.
And they were all something. And I'm not putting them on a pedestal because at the end of the day, they still had to put their pants on.
No.
They were not better than Galileo. They were not better than Copernicus. They were not better than Voltaire. They were not better than Columbus.
But they had to further it because whatever Galileo and Voltaire and them did, then Jefferson, John Quincy Adams, I know they went abroad, and then they had to carry that over here to America. Jefferson's my favorite. Sometimes when I go in thinking mode, I say Jefferson in the red. That's what I feel like, Jefferson in the red.
Jefferson really, I mean, when you think about who he venerated, which you just mentioned 2 of his, I think the one that you left out was either Descartes or Francis Bacon.
Descartes. He was more Descartes, man.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We only know him from his diary. And if you kept a diary for the last 10 years, how much would we know of your thoughts?
Exactly.
Little.
Little.
Un poco.
And Jefferson
right?
he told Adams, burn everything I write to you. All the letters, he's like, burn them. And that's like one of the things I do. If I write somebody, like, burn that. Jefferson, whatever he wrote, he didn't even intend for us to even really get that.
I think his diary, he knew people. He knew. Some of these guys knew they were, especially Jefferson. Jefferson's father was a huge, Peter Jefferson, loved history. Jefferson was steeped in history just like his father. He knew the things they were doing were historic. You and I can do something. We won't know if it's going to be historic.
I knew Jefferson, though, yeah.
But Jefferson and John Adams and that whole group, they knew what they were doing was historic. Now, they didn't know if it was going to last.
From Washington to John Quincy Adams. I like that group.
Well, yeah, because I think, John Quincy...
Madison barely made it.
What did John Quincy Adams, how did he get in that group?
Because his father. Yeah.
No, at 10 years old, him and his mama were sitting there and they were watching the Battle of Bunker Hill.
But his father is John Adams, the second president.
And his father's father, and his father's father's father.
Well, they were Puritans. But, I mean, John Quincy Adams...
And they were all well-educated.
Yeah.
They all went to Harvard, and it was 4 generations or 5 generations that all went to Harvard. And so, what do you get when you have 5 generations of men who are contemplative, as opposed to more channeling what you've brought up twice already, is the animal self. See, we can put the animal self at the apex, and we can chase after every skirt, and we can do whatever. We can conquer. We can build pyramids like we're gonna, and we can try and collect the gold, so we're going to take that with us to the next life, like the pharaohs.
Yeah.
Or we can say, well, we know the pharaohs didn't take their riches. So what we have is an opportunity to accumulate enough wealth. The first 3 decades, let's say, unless you're what's his name, Larry Page at 23, or Marconi at 23, who gave us wireless communication. Unless you're one of those, the first 30 years, it's just figuring out what is life. Enough. Not figuring out enough of how to navigate.
That's
the
a
next
good
30
thing.
years,
That's a good point.
The next 30 years are your engagement. It doesn't have to be work. It could be anything. If you're, let's say you're born into affluence, well, now you have engagement. You're going to do things like philanthropy. You're going to have business ventures. You're going to maybe involve yourself in 100 things. Who knows what it'll be? But it's the years of engagement.
You said something very good. You said the first 30 years, like, what is life? Like, that's perhaps what we need to teach children younger, instead of the histories of the wars, the hatred. We question what is life. I think somebody through the Renaissance was talking about how we need to teach philosophy to the youth and teen. And you would think about what is life before you go chasing the money, then you would know the money, the murder and killing, and the population overgrowth. We have to backtrack on all that because it's wrong.
So you just brought something up. How much longer do we need money? What is money for? It was for, okay, we only have so much
trust.
Much well, trust.
The money was about trust, because when you had to trade and barter and then go from the Mediterranean over to Africa over to other places, like, now how can I trust you to bring this or bring that and the resources? And I gotta got that trust on that dollar. It's about, can I trust you? Come back and so forth. To get humans to trust again, to get to where we're tilling the land and everybody's doing their share, almost like the socialism, communism thought of Jesus coming back, that whole type community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a whole lot of human trust would have to be between.
So on one axis we have trust, right?
Yeah.
What's on the other axis?
Fear.
Damn, you're good. So vulnerability and fear. And if you're not in a state of fear, how much trust can you have? If you're set and you know damn right well that you have the penthouse because your family had money, or you earn money, or whatever, however you can, your best friend said, listen, we have nothing going on there. We're not going to be there for 6 months. I know your business just failed. Just go hang out, recover. There's food in there. There's a housekeeper. She comes in twice. Have at it. Now, what do you do with that? So you don't have fear. You don't have vulnerability. So now, you actually, if this is a 2-scale thing, you actually start out trust. You can trust here because now you're not dependent on this guy who's opening a business, whether it's going to be successful or not. Your basic needs, your animalistic self, your mammalian needs are met.
Yes.
Your mammalian needs are met. Food, shelter, water, whatever, medicine, car, transportation, they're already met. You are now a graduate of the mammalian instincts. The first instinct of nature is self-preservation. Well, those needs are now met.
Uh-huh.
So now what do you think about? Well, maybe you want to write music. Maybe you want to be an artist.
No. You got to take it to a high level to conserve that type of trust.
Yeah.
The whole human mind would have to go to how do we preserve our environment, that we won't endanger our environment, that we learn the weather system, the atmosphere, the environment. That way, that's a higher level. We won't go back into that mammalian thing. If you don't care about the earth, then what the hell does preservation even mean as a human?
Okay. Because you ever been in sales?
Once. Toys R Us.
I love it. How did you sell a toy? Mommy comes, she's tugging on your shirt, the kid's tugging on your pants. I want the toy of the year. Well, what? So you go through questions, right?
That's one way.
What age is the child? What other toys do they have home? There's probably 3 or 4 questions.
That's the secondary way. You know the primary way?
How?
I tell you, we have something new. Like, I can come up and present a new system to the world.
Okay.
When I'm selling, it's about selling. It's like, this is what we have. We have this new thing in stock. Because she might not even know what to come up and question. But if I tell her this is what's new, and this is what it does, and this is how it works, and this is the pleasure it can bring, blah, 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 that sells it more than her coming in there just questioning.
All right. So let me ask you this. What if you use those first questions I just said as the first step, and then you bring what you have as the new thing, but you're using not your language, They're using her language. And what is a mommy's language different than yours? Do you have kids?
Now, what is the mommy language?
Oh, the mommy wants the kid to be entertained with a safe toy. That's a big deal. You and I don't understand that because we don't have kids. Maybe we have nieces and nephews. We could probably tangentially figure it out, but a mom never leaves that.
However, we have this. Us and the mom have all been kids. What do we want?
Doesn't mean a shitting thing. Ask a
What?
teacher. Ask a teacher how many people think they can teach because they sat in a classroom and watched a teacher teach for 18 years.
But you can teach. A child can teach just by looking. Everybody teaches something. Therefore, if you was a child, your mother was a child, I was a child. If we all go back to that one way of thinking, what would we want?
Do you want to teach like your teachers, or do you want to teach better than your teachers teach?
Teach better than my teachers by way of I'll probably take the Plato way by walking them and talking through nature and through entertainment,
Right.
like television and movies teach.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Love that.
I would teach it that
Oh,
way.
Man, entertainment teaches. I want to go back to something because we're really hitting on some good stuff, but I think what we're talking about back here, where you brought trust and the vulnerability thing, is we're talking about only one thing,
What's that?
and this will make any man an animal,
What is
any
that?
woman an animal.
What is that?
You know it.
I mean, it could be anything. What is it?
What did they do in? What did they do? What did they do in prison? They take their dignity away.
Is that what people want to do?
No, that's what I'm saying. And why did they do that? Because they don't understand why those people show up on the door. Why? Because they don't understand neurology, and it's all neurology.
Now,